Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are tackling a business topic that can sound, well, a little intimidating: cost, volume, profit analysis.
Right.
But we're going to simplify it. We want to give you the shortcut to understanding the one question that really determines if a business lives or dies.
Which is, how much do we actually need to sell just to break even?
Exactly.
And this is the financial foundation of any business, whether you're running a huge factory or, like in our sources today, a small Thai restaurant.
And this deep dive is all about getting you that understanding without, getting bogged down in the textbook math.
Yeah, definitely.
Our sources today give us a great framework for this. They focus on one entrepreneur, her name's Lily, and her business, Lily's Thai Restaurant. We're going to use her numbers to make these formulas feel real.
And more than that, to see how the formulas drive actual strategy. It's about moving from just static accounting to making dynamic business decisions.
A single choice about a menu price can change everything for her.
It really can.
Okay, so let's unpack this. And we have to start where any good business analysis begins: understanding the different kinds of costs.
That's right, because not all expenses are created equal.
Before you can even think about profit, you have to split your costs into two big buckets.
Fixed costs and variable costs.
Let's start with fixed costs. These are the ones that, well, they just don't change. They're set in stone, whether you have 100 customers or 0.
They're totally separate from your activity level.
And Lily's restaurant is a perfect example.
It is. Think about her monthly rent for the space. That's a fixed cost. Her insurance premiums, the interest on her business loan,
Property taxes.
the salaries for her permanent staff, the manager, the 2 full-time cooks, all of that is fixed.
And the main insight here is, even if not a single person walks through that door all month, Lily still has to write those checks.
Exactly. Now, on the complete other side of the coin, you have your variable costs.
These are the ones that move up and down directly with how busy you are.
Right. They're proportional to the number of customers you serve. If Lily serves, say, twice as many meals tonight as she did last night, her total variable costs are going to roughly double.
So this is the food itself: the noodles, the rice, the coconut milk.
The ingredients, yep. But also things like the takeout containers, the napkins, and maybe the hourly wages for extra staff she only brings in for that weekend rush.
So every sale she makes directly adds to these costs.
It does.
I think that's such a crucial distinction. The fixed costs are like this huge wall you have to climb over every month, and the variable costs determine how much you actually make each time you sell something.
Precisely. And that brings us to really the most important middle piece of this whole puzzle, calculating something called the contribution margin.
The contribution margin, this is probably the single most important number we're going to talk about today.
I would agree.
It tells you how much cash from each sale is left over after you've paid for the variable stuff, and is then available to, contribute to paying down that big wall of fixed costs.
To calculate it for Lily, we just need 3 numbers from our sources. First, the selling price. Let's just say her average meal sells for $10.
Okay, $10.
Second, the variable cost for that meal, so all the ingredients, the container, and so on. Let's say that's $6.
So her contribution margin is $10 minus $6, which is $4 per meal.
$4, that's the number. Every time she sells a meal, she has $4 left over to start chipping away at that mountain of fixed costs.
And once you have that $4 number, you can figure out the survival number.
The break-even point.
This is the point where her total money in, the revenue, exactly equals her total money out, the costs. She makes 0 profit, but she's not losing money either.
It's the moment of stability.
The formula for this, in units, is just your total fixed cost divided by that contribution margin per unit.
And our sources say Lily's total fixed costs are $8,000 a month.
Okay, so we take that $8,000.
And divide it by her $4 contribution margin.
And that gives us 2,000 customers per month.
That's the magic number.
If Lily serves 2,000 people, she generates exactly $8,000 in contribution margin, which perfectly covers her fixed expenses.
And to put that in perspective, $2,000 a month is roughly, 67 customers every single day she's open.
67 people. Wow, that's her absolute bare minimum.
It is.
Now, this is where things get really, really interesting, because we have to connect this number to the real world. Our sources gave us a critical piece of information.
Right, where the restaurant is located.
Lily's Thai Restaurant is in a town called Grantsville.
And according to our research, Grantsville has a population of 8,893 people.
Okay, so hold on. If she needs 2,000 customers a month just to break even in a town of just under 9,000 people,
I see where you're going with this.
what percentage of the entire town does she need coming in her door every month just to survive? It's about 22%.
That puts the whole thing in a different light, doesn't it? She's not just doing some accounting exercise. She's realizing that nearly a quarter of the entire town needs to eat at her place every single month.
Just to pay the rent.
Just to pay the rent. The break-even point isn't just a number. It's a strategic constraint. It's about market saturation. It's about competition.
This shows why CVP is so much more than math. It really sets the stakes. But, nobody gets into business just to survive. We need to go from the survival number to the thriving number.
And what's so fascinating is how that $4 contribution margin completely changes his job once the fixed costs are paid off.
How so?
Well, up until that 2,000th customer, every one of those $4 bills was just going to the landlord or the bank.
Paying off that $8,000.
Right. But customer number 2001, the fixed costs are already paid in full. Now, that entire $4 from that customer and every customer after goes straight into Lily's pocket.
It becomes pure profit.
It's the engine of her wealth.
And CVP analysis lets us plan for that. We can use what's called the target profit formula.
Exactly. Lily can set a goal, a specific profit she wants to make, and then calculate exactly how many customers she needs to get there.
The math is just a tiny tweak on the last formula. You take your fixed costs, you add your target profit, and then you divide that whole thing by the contribution margin.
Okay, so let's say Lily wants to earn a nice, comfortable $5,000 in profit for the month.
A reasonable goal.
So she needs to generate enough CM to cover the $8,000 in fixed costs, plus her $5,000 profit. That's $13,000 in total.
So we take that $13,000, divide it by her $4 contribution margin, and that gets her to 3,250 customers a month.
That's it. That's the difference between survival and success. Over 1,000 more customers a month.
And if you're a visual person, you can picture this on the break-even chart. It's really simple, but so powerful.
It is. You just have a line for your total costs and a line for your total revenue and where they cross.
That's the break-even point.
That's the hinge. Everything below that intersection is the loss area. You're losing money. Everything above it is the profit area.
Seeing it visually just makes it click. You understand how much is at stake with every little decision you make.
And that's the perfect lead-in to the most strategic part of this whole thing, sensitivity analysis.
This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, CVP isn't just about finding one number. It's about modeling different futures. What if I did this? What would happen then?
Lily is making choices every day. Should I lower my prices? Should I buy a new piece of equipment? CVP lets her model the risk before she commits.
Let's walk through the 4 big decision types that CVP helps with.
Okay, first up, pricing strategy. Let's go back to her problem in Grantsville, a small town. She might be tempted to drop her price from $10 to $9 to get more people in the door.
Okay, so price drops to $9. Her variable cost of $6 doesn't change.
So her contribution margin immediately drops from $4 to $3.
And if her CM drops, her break-even point has to go up a lot. She'd now need, let's see, $8,000 divided by $3. That's 2,667 customers just to break even.
So the real strategic question becomes, if I cut my price by 10%, am I confident I can attract 33% more customers just to get back to zero? In a small town, that is a huge, huge risk.
A massive risk.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the second decision area, cost control. This is usually the safer play.
So instead of looking outside, Lily looks inside her own kitchen. Maybe she can reduce food waste or find a cheaper but still good supplier.
Let's say she's brilliant at it, and she lowers her variable cost from $6 down to $5 per meal.
Okay, so now her contribution margin jumps up from $4 to $5.
Now look at the leverage. $8,000 in fixed costs divided by her new $5 CM. Her break-even point drops to 1,600 customers.
That's 400 fewer customers she needs every month.
Just by saving $1 internally. This shows her that focusing on efficiency can have a bigger and much less risky impact than messing with prices in a small market. It's powerful.
Okay, third area, expansion decisions. Lily's doing well. She wants to add more tables, maybe hire a delivery driver. This is going to increase her fixed costs, say, to $10,000 a month.
CVP immediately tells her what she needs to do to justify that. If her fixed costs go up to $10,000, her new break-even point is 2,500 customers.
So she needs 500 more customers a month.
Exactly. It takes the guesswork out. She knows the exact sales target she has to hit to make that investment pay off.
And finally, number 4, Menu planning. This is something I think a lot of small restaurants miss.
Absolutely. Not every dish on Lily's menu is created equal.
They don't all contribute the same amount.
Right. Her basic pad thai might have that $4 CM we've been using, but maybe her fancy green curry uses really expensive ingredients and only has a $3 CM. Meanwhile, a soda might have a $2.50 CM.
So wait, the goal isn't just to sell the items with the highest CM percentage, because the soda seems great by that metric.
That's a great question, and it's an important nuance. The soda has a high percentage, sure, but the dollar amount is small. The real goal is to find those items with the highest dollar CM.
Ah, I see.
Maybe she has a premium dish that sells for $15 and has a $7 CM. Promoting that dish is what will help her cover that $8,000 in fixed costs the fastest. It's all about managing the mix.
That's fascinating. But, okay, if CVP is this powerful, there have to be some catches, right? Some limitations.
Of course, it's a model, and all models are simplifications of the real world. CVP relies on a few key assumptions that, well, they don't always hold up.
What's the biggest one?
The first big one is that variable cost per unit is constant. We're assuming the price of noodles is always the price of noodles.
But if she gets really busy, she'll start buying in bulk.
Exactly. She buys 1,000 pounds of rice instead of 100, she gets a discount. Her variable cost per unit actually goes down. So the simple straight line model isn't perfect. It works best within a certain range of activity.
Okay, what's another one?
The second is that fixed costs are always fixed. They are, but again, only within what's called a relevant range. This is where you run into something called step costs.
Yeah.
So Lily can maybe handle 90 customers a day with her current staff, but the moment she starts consistently hitting 100 customers, she has to hire another cook.
And that new salary is a jump in her fixed costs.
It's a sudden jump, a
Yeah.
step up. It's not a smooth increase. And if you ignore those step costs in your plan, you get into real trouble right when you think you're succeeding.
That feels like a classic trap for a growing business.
It is. And finally, the last big simplification is that we've been talking about one product, the $10 meal. Real restaurants have dozens of items, all with different CMs, which makes finding one single break-even point a lot more complicated.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, if you're trying to quickly understand how a business works, you now have the core framework to analyze its financial heartbeat.
We've shown how CVP answers the four big questions. 1, how much do we sell just to survive? That's your break-even point.
2, how much do we need to sell to actually achieve our goals? That's your target profit.
3, what happens if things change? If our costs go up or our prices go down? That's sensitivity analysis.
And 4, what should we be selling more of? That's your contribution margin analysis, which helps you manage your sales mix.
The main takeaway is that understanding how your costs behave isn't just an accounting task. It's the foundation of business strategy.
So to bring it all back to Lily in Grantsville, needing 2,000 customers in a town of just under 9,000, here's the final thought we want to leave you with.
If a small business owner like her has to pick one of two paths, path A, she raises her prices slightly, which might lose her a few customers but would boost her contribution margin on every sale.
Or path B, she aggressively attacks her internal costs, keeping her prices and customer numbers the same, but still increasing her contribution margin.
Which of those two paths gives her the best chance of long-term success with the least amount of risk, especially in a small, defined market like Grantsville?
You're really asking if it's safer to control your internal world, your costs, which you have power over, or to bet on the external world, on customer behavior, which you really can't control.
Something to think about.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.